You're listening to Business Stories with Ryan R. Karachi, a podcast dedicated to helping entrepreneurs become even more successful. Let's jump into today's episode. Hey, welcome back to another episode. If you are somebody like me who can't really stand clutter, if you struggle with clutter in your life, if you have family or friends who are out there struggling with clutter, I don't think we understand the psychological implications it has and how it can really put our lives in disarray, not just our lives, but our businesses and everything we're doing. So my guest today is Tracy. Is it McCubbin, Tracy? I want to make sure I pronounce it right.
Yep,
Tracy McCubbin,
you got it right.
founder of dClutterfly. We're going to talk all about clutter, what it's doing to you, and how you can improve your life by decluttering. So Tracy, tell us the story behind this. What drove this brand? What drove you to start it? And let's talk about what you're doing with it now.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on. So I always joke that I'm an accidental entrepreneur. I accidentally started this business about 18 years ago, almost 2 decades now. I was working as a personal assistant. I live in Los Angeles. And when I kind of had downtime from the people I was assisting, they would basically their friends would call and say, "Hey, I heard you're really organized. I need to clean out my garage. I need to deal with my Christmas ornaments. My husband's business went under." And so I started doing these jobs, and then the word spread and more people called. And a friend of mine, it's so funny, the work was really starting to come in, and he was like, and I was starting to charge and figure all that out. And a friend of mine was like, "I think this is a business." And I was like, "No, I just help people." And he's like, "Yes, that's called a business.
Yeah.
Helping people for money is a business." So I launched officially in 2007, and it has been it was a steady growth. And then really about 5 years ago, kind of right pre-pandemic, we just doubled. So currently I have 9 organizers working for me, and we're at 7 figures consistently. So it's been an absolute fantastic business, just really. And along the way, building the brand, I've written 2 best-selling books on our emotional attachment to our stuff, really working on getting the messaging out there and working on creating a strong brand.
Yeah. I want to ask you too, like for yourself, obviously you were driven to do this internally yourself, to just be out there helping people declutter. What do you think what triggered that in you? Was it something from your past? Was it your own history? Was it your own situation at the time? Like, what do you think drove that to happen?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I think that it was a couple things. I had always wanted to make order out of chaos since I was little. It just calmed me. It was what I did. And part of that is sort of historical. I was very, very close to all of my grandparents, and they were World War II babies, Depression babies, farmers. I really, I joke that my grandmother never met a margarine container she didn't love.
Yeah.
So I saw that kind of historical, genealogical attachment to stuff. And then I also, in my family, I had a couple family members, including a parent, who have hoarding disorder. So I saw the extreme of it. And I think it just gave me a really strong insight into why we're so attached, and really coming at it non-judgmentally and knowing that it's not about being perfect. It's not about having a perfect home in any way, shape, or form. That really it's about your home or your office being a tool, and it's a tool to support you and rest you and fuel you. And if your house is full of clutter and chaotic, those things can't happen. So
Yeah.
I've always come from that place that it's never about, the Pinterest perfect house ever. It's about, can you cook in your kitchen stress-free to make a healthy meal? Can you get your kids out the door in the morning without losing your mind? Like, that's always been the goal for this company. And it really resonated with people. There was kind of in the 2010s, I guess that's how long she's been around. There was a organizer that came along and really preached minimalism and perfectionism and just throw it up, get rid of it. And this very oversimplified view of things. And it didn't work for a lot of people. So that's when I kind of see my business start to grow. And so coming in with this understanding of where you've come from, your family's history, and making your house work for you.
Mm-hmm. You talk a little bit about like emotional clutter blocks, like things that hold people back from organizing or cleaning out things. Can you tell us, like maybe from client experiences, or what those blocks are, and how do we kind of overcome them?
Sure. So the clutter blocks are something I came upon pretty early. I um I was working with people and I just kept hearing these seven stories over and over again that people, we all like to think that we're so different and we're all super imaginative and no one has the problems we have, but we're all really the same. And so
Yeah.
people were kind of confronting these same issues and had made the same stories up about why they can't get rid of the things that they don't want, need, or use. And through that, I was like, these are a block. These are what's stopping people, these stories. So I distilled them down into the seven clutter blocks. And my first book, Making Space Clutter Free, I do a deep dive into them. So if this resonates with somebody, it's a fantastic book to really go a step further and not only figure out what block you have, but how to break free of it. But they range everything from my fantasy stuff to my fantasy life, sort of the things that we hang on to that we think we're going to do one day, or the hobbies we're going to take up, to my stuff keeps me stuck in the past, clothes we don't fit into anymore because gravity hits,
Mm-hmm.
all of our kids' trophies, from, participation awards to like events no one can remember,
Yeah.
to I'm stuck with other people's stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like people who have passed, gifts that people give you that you don't like. I don't feel like I'm worth my good stuff, not using the nice things that we have. So it's really this gamut. And it was amazing when I first started talking to these, how much they resonated with people. So it's just a really good tool to kind of identify the story that you've told. My favorite, and in my household, we have this one is, the stuff I keep paying for. I pay
Mm-hmm.
good money for that. I mean, I got a Peloton bike out in my garage that is collecting dust that I'm not getting rid of because I paid a lot of money for it in the pandemic and I haven't ridden it in 2 years.
Right.
So, I think it really helps people, Ryan, to know that they're not alone and that this is these are a common thread. I mean, we're humans, we're meaning making machines, right?
Yeah.
So really landing on these clutter blocks and really helping people see that they gave this stuff the meaning, and they can take the meaning away if they want.
Yeah. Can you share any particular stories? I know you've worked with a lot of high profile people, and I'm sure there's one or two stories, obviously keeping things confidential where they have to be, but any particular stories that stick out in your head that really provide a good example?
Illustrate.
Yeah, illustrate those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I had a doctor that I worked with, and he was one of our all-time favorite clients, and his wife had recently passed.
Hmm.
They'd been married for 50 years, and he was, I mean, when we first started working with him, he was in his early 80s.
Hmm.
So we were moving him from the big giant house that they had raised their family in. She had passed. We moved him to the little house. We eventually went on to move him to a smaller house and then clean out the house when he recently passed, at
Yeah.
95 in his sleep, like the way we all want to go.
Right.
And when we were moving him from the big house to the first little house, he had all this scuba equipment, like
Yeah.
so much scuba equipment. And we were like, are you still scuba diving? Are we going to take all this?
Yeah.
And he was like, yes. And he was adamant about it. It was like the one thing that he drilled down on. He was so good about letting everything else go. And we were like, I mean, he would not budge. Even his kids were like, you have heart issues. You're
Hmm.
never going to scuba dive again. And so we packed it up. We moved it over to the new house. It was kind of the last stuff to come off the truck. And as it started to come off, I just really saw him like, I don't know, really take it in so intensely. And I said, you know what? I sat down with him on the gate of the truck, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Tell me what's going on. What do you I'm sitting here having all these feelings. And he was like, this is so hard. Like that was our life. Like
Hmm.
we scuba dove together and
Yeah.
we worked to scuba dive and it was everything we looked forward to. And he said, and I'm never going to do it again.
Hmm.
And he was like, it was such a representation of a different time. And
Yeah.
I think I'm just holding on to the past.
Yeah.
So we had a moment, we had a little cry,
Yeah.
and he was able to say goodbye. And, when, as we, especially we move into where I don't know if some people call it the third chapter, some people call it the fourth chapter.
Yeah.
But, when you start to face your mortality and you realize that this is the stuff that you're just not going to do anymore.
Hmm.
And so it was really a really powerful moment. And it was really, I felt really honored to be there with
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
Another thing a big thing in the stuff I keep paying for, Clutter Block, the amount of storage units that I have cleaned out for people that they have. I had a client who called me up and said, I gotta do it. I'm getting divorced. I've got to clean out the storage unit. We've had it for 12 years. I've been paying $400 a month for 12 years.
Hmm.
Like we have, like the quick math people out there will do that number real fast.
Right.
We rolled the door open, and Ryan, there was an IKEA desk and like 3 boxes of paperwork that this person had been paying $400 a month to store for 12
That's it?
years.
Really? That's all it was?
That's it. That's
Wow.
it. They forgot. They didn't know what was in there.
That's a lot of
And they had
money
been hold.
over
That's a
years.
lot. I was like, you might have been able to have bought a whole IKEA for that. Like
Right.
it was, so, it was a really profound, like it was rough. That was a
Yeah.
rough moment. And I was like, look, you've kept like, I know. And that's the thing and the interesting thing I always tell people about that clutter block, the stuff you keep paying for. It's like sometimes you just have to admit you made a mistake.
Yeah.
Like I bought a bad thing. You're not a
Yeah.
bad person.
Right.
Like I just did it. And
Yeah.
so there's, it's that one's a big one. If
Yeah.
anybody out there is listening and they have an outside storage unit, I can promise you there's nothing in that storage unit worth more than you're paying for it. I
Right.
can promise you.
It almost seems like storage companies just know that we live in this kind of world where everybody can get so much stuff so easily that they just bank on
Oh,
it,
they
right?
know.
Yeah, they know. And
They
there's
know.
people that they auction off to, right? There's auction people that go out and buy storage units
Yeah.
too, right? We've seen the TV
Yeah. And
shows
then,
about that. Yeah,
yeah, that's sort of a manufactured, you know,
yeah,
frenzy.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, I've been in hundreds of storage units and there's never been anything of value. I've cleaned out probably at least three, maybe six over the years storage units that were just full of beanie babies.
Wow. I have to tell you too, like for myself, like recently, I think it was last year, I got rid of a lot of my music CDs just because they were taking up so much space in my closet. But there's this part of me that was like, I just feel like I'm
I
letting
know.
go of like this past that I still cling to, but like it's a somber feeling, like getting
Yeah.
rid of it.
And with Ryan, that I mean that you're in the tech world too,
Yeah.
which is another thing. It's like we I mean, I'm old. Like I had Fleetwood Mac Rumors. I had it
Right.
as an album, a
Yeah.
cassette tape, an 8-track tape,
Yeah.
a CD, and now I have it on streaming, right?
Right.
But we're not responsible for the speed of light
Yeah.
that technology is growing at. And it is hard. And that was such a time, right? Pulling
Yeah.
the CD out. And I mean,
Yep.
when's the last time we've listened to an album from start to finish?
Right.
We
Or
don't do it
gone to a
anymore.
store and bought and like shopped around for an hour and sat in a record store. Those were just
Oh,
special moments at that time that you don't really.
do you remember? I mean, think about that. I think about, I cling to that too. Like
Yeah.
we having that ability to go to the record store, like we had the joy of discovery, right?
Yeah.
Because you
Yeah.
couldn't remember and you just hope you'd hear the song on the radio. And now kids just have to speak into their phone and they're fed it.
Yeah.
So I get it. And, look, and there's a part of you where you're like, it does sound better
Yeah.
on CDs than it does streaming. But are you playing those CDs anymore? Probably
Yeah.
not.
No. No. So, but I mean, so I want to ask you too, like it seems like you're decluttering, but it's also almost like a therapy. So, and I'm sure there are clients you have that are that really struggle. I mean, I've seen the show Hoarders where people are really holding on to this stuff. They have such an emotional attachment because it's from a loved one, a wife, a husband, or some kind of past they cling to. how do you get them through that hurdle? I mean, it just because it seems like it's
Yes,
very hard sometimes.
I should have an honorary degree in psychology.
Right.
You know, I am my whole methodology is based on what are people's goals. So
Hmm.
that's one of the first things that we do, is go in and help the client identify what are the goals for the house.
Yeah.
They want to get it on the market to sell it, so they want to, because they want to downsize, but they raised all their children, and so it's really about honoring the legacy that came before. Can we snap photos of it? Can we distill it down to a few things? Um, and that helps them reach that goal.
Yeah.
Somebody just said the greatest thing, and I can't even believe I've never considered this, but their parent the their parents are getting ready to downsize the big family home, and everyone's having a lot of feelings about it. And the time is right; it's too big a house for them, and all
Yeah.
that. So they're having a professional photographer go in and photograph the house, and then they're
Yeah.
going to make books for the whole family.
Yeah.
And when you realize that it's really the feelings and the memories that you want to hang on to, not the stuff. So
Yeah.
we're always focused on how can we get our clients to a place where they're in alignment with
Hmm.
what their goal is, and how can we honor keeping those feelings.
Yeah. I get it. I think that's a great idea. Take a few pictures, put it into an album or a collage book or whatever you can order, and you can always go back and look at those pictures or video or whatever you want. Um, I think that's a good way to handle it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is where technology works in our favor. We're
Yeah.
so lucky that we have phones now.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have to keep all that stuff.
Right.
And it's really helped people a lot. And I think that and again, this is what myself and my team do, is just keeping clients focused on their goals, and
Hmm.
are the choices that they're making in alignment with those goals.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we also live in a world that's kind of pushes against you too, because we have so much access to get whatever we want. I mean, I know the other day I wanted a book. I went on OfferUp. I met somebody, paid for it, went down the street, met him, got it. Go on Amazon in 2 seconds. You can have whatever you want, literally. So
Oh
we
yeah.
live in this world where we have to develop this self-control to not overspend or not overbuy. Do you find like that's something you have to fight against these days with
Yes.
the ease of
And
e-commerce?
exactly. And my second book, Make Space for Happiness, is all about why we buy and the
Yeah.
science behind it.
Yeah.
And look, I mean, Ryan, you don't even, I joke about this, but you don't even have to put pants on to go to the store anymore. Like,
Right.
you just like get on Amazon and it's there. So there's a whole, there's a whole brain chemistry going on that when you order, you get a hit of dopamine.
Right.
When the package shows up, you get a hit of dopamine.
Yep.
Doesn't last for very long. You want that feeling again, so you buy more, especially if you're doing late night shopping, if you're scrolling on your phone.
Yeah.
So I talk about this so much with clients, that you are ultimately responsible for everything that comes into your home, you and the other people who live in it.
Yeah.
So we can't talk about decluttering if we're not talking about our acquisition cycle. What are
Hmm.
you buying? What are you bringing into? And look, everyone out there that's listening can relate to this. And I say this for myself, like, I'm having a bad day and I'm going to buy, the newest face serum that I think is going to fix all my problems.
Yeah.
Right? That we have so turned to consumerism to manage our feelings. So I just talk a lot, especially in the book Make Space for Happiness, about what are some other things that you can do to help those emotions that's not spending.
Right.
I mean, we really have to. But by the way, I will just point out though, I am the flip side of all this is I love this OfferUp world, this, what's the other one, the free one, the neighborhood free one.
Um,
Um,
Let Go. Is
there's
it
a
Let Go or something?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
something like that. I mean, just that whole world is so encouraging to me
Yeah.
and so fantastic. We had some plates, set of plates, brand new. My stepdaughter used them when she was in her apartment.
Yeah.
My husband put them up on OfferUp for $20, just
Yeah.
like whatever. This young woman came to pick them up, single mom, working two jobs.
Yep.
And of course, my husband was like, I am not taking your $20. Like, please,
Yeah.
take them, and
Yeah.
just like chatted with her. And, I think that this world of selling that is creating community in a
Yeah.
really fantastic way. So
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of it. Big fan of it.
I could tell you my wife has gone crazy with like there's people giving away free, and I think it's great in a way because people give away
Plants.
free well plants, but also free stuff. Like there's a
Yeah.
Facebook group in our local area where people are always giving away just free stuff.
Buy
Like,
nothing groups. That's what
yeah,
it's called. Buy nothing groups.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh no, my husband is fallen into the free plant
yeah.
world.
So he's like
I
my
mean, we
wife.
have,
Yeah,
by the way, we're going to have tomatoes this summer from it, which is
yeah,
fantastic. But
yeah,
yeah, those buy nothing groups are fantastic,
yeah,
fantastic.
yeah,
And it does it. And for me, as we're getting so disconnected and we're not, like, I just think that world is connecting us again. I
yeah,
love it. I'm a
yeah,
huge fan.
yeah. It's great. So I want to segue into this as a brand. This is a business, right? So tell us about what can someone look forward to if they get involved with this brand. They want to look into being an owner of this. Talk to us about the process and what kind of business owners you're looking for this brand.
Yeah, this is super exciting. When I was trying to figure out how to scale, I looked at a bunch of different ways to do that. And after a lot of research and a lot of guidance from someone who owns a very big franchise, franchising made the most sense. It
Hmm.
really appealed to me for a lot of reasons. One, and probably one of the biggest reasons, is I have always believed in this business as a business for women to own.
Hmm.
I just got married 2 years ago, so I was never married. I was able to support myself with this
Hmm.
business for 18 years.
Hmm.
Um, Women, look, truthfully, women are doing this work for free already.
Yeah.
So it really, I believe a lot in access to economic freedom for women. I just think it's a fantastic business for women to own, which is why the franchising model made so much sense when I was like, oh, it's their own business. So that was a huge part of it. And the thing that's great about this, and kind of, I've had the business for 18 years before I
Hmm.
decided to franchise, which is a little rare. People tend to kind of franchise sooner
Early. Yeah.
in their business journey. But I have 18 years of successes and 18 years of mistakes
Yeah.
that I am bringing to the franchisees. I am very transparent about what works, what doesn't work. Really, like, we are here for you. We are building a movement. We are
Yeah.
building a change. So we're not looking for people necessarily that have a lot of business experience. We're giving them the accounting set, the chart of accounts. This is one of those things in these modern times, right, Ryan, that, payroll's so easy now, right?
Hmm.
We've got an app that time keeps your employees with geo mapping that
Hmm.
like just sends it straight to QuickBooks to invoice. Like that kind of stuff has kind of been taken away, which is fantastic. So we're really looking for people who have a strong connection to their community,
Hmm.
who may not have had a business before, but I always know when people tell me, they're like, I've never really been an organizer. And I'm like, well, tell me about your experience. They're like, well, my when my grandparents died, I cleaned out their house, and I've been my mom's caregiver for 10 years. And they start laying, I'm the person that the friends call to clean out their garage. I'm like,
Yeah.
you've been an organizer. So
Yeah.
we're really encouraging people who have an interest in this, but think, maybe I don't have the background, and to not worry if you don't have the business acumen, because we can help with all that.
Yeah.
Again, really looking for people who are entrenched in their community, so much. And the nice thing is it's set up as a work from home. So
Hmm.
it's really a low franchise fee. There's no brick and mortar. You can do this with your garage and an office at home.
Hmm.
Ultimately, you don't even have to start with a truck. We're kind of encouraging people in their first year to look at that, but you can, I did, Ryan, I did this business for 10 years out of a minivan.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's really designed kind of for entry level. This isn't This isn't the brand for people who are like, I own 15 franchises and I just want another one. This is for people who want to build a business
Yeah.
and want to build something. And we're there for that. We're really there for that.
What's the turnaround time to get set up if someone's interested? I mean, can they turn it all around in about 30 days or so to get everything up and running or
With training, with training, we're
Hmm,
saying 60 days, but
okay.
it's a fast startup, right? We're
Yeah.
we're already doing the marketing. We have an opening marketing plan in place.
Yeah.
It just to be safe. I mean, look, if someone had a fire in their belly,
Yeah.
sure, they could do it in 30 days, but we're just saying 60 to be safe.
Okay. Okay.
And the amazing thing also about this franchise is that because there isn't a lot of equipment to buy or, rent to pay, it's a pretty potentially fast ramp up to being cash flow positive.
Yeah. And as far as the truck is concerned, so if they're not interested in a truck, I mean, is it something where you could get a U-Haul? You could, I mean, how do you?
Totally.
Okay.
Totally. You could do a couple things. You could rent a U-Haul when you needed it. You could create a relationship. We have a national partnership with junk luggers. So
Okay.
you could create a relationship with junk luggers so that you're using them. I mean, the thing about the truck is it's just another revenue stream.
Yeah.
Then you could do your own trash hauling, but absolutely you can do this without it. And so we just don't want that to be a barrier to entry.
Mm-hmm. Well, I love it. I think it's a great thing. So Tracy, tell us, how can people get involved? Where can they find out about you? Tell us about the books too. Where can they get the books and also the website,
Absolutely.
all
Well,
that
I'll
stuff?
start. This will
Yeah.
make you happy. This is
Yeah.
where I'm not the best businesswoman,
Okay.
but both of my books, one's called Making Space Clutter-Free, and the second one's called Make Space for Happiness, are available at most local libraries. So if
Oh,
you're
really?
trying
Okay.
not to add more books to your collection, they
Yeah.
are available at most libraries.
Okay.
And the best place to find us is at dClutterfly.com, which is DCLUTTERFLY.com. We've got a great franchise opportunity page. Reach out to us, set up a brand overview, a
Yeah.
meet the founder call. It's just, it's exciting. We're at the start of
Yeah.
something really, really exciting. And
Yeah.
always give me a follow on Instagram at Tracy McCubbin because that's where we have all the fun.
Yeah. Right. All right. Well, hey, if you're listening and you either want to declutter your life or declutter a friend or family member's life, reach out to Tracy and her team. But also, if you want to get involved with the brand, which it sounds like it's a great opportunity, literally work from home, sit in your pajamas on your computer at your desk and, be able to build a business, I think is an excellent thing these days. So,
And
yeah,
more importantly, Ryan, getting paid for the work you're already doing for free.
right. Maybe you're listening and you're like me. I literally declutter every day because I'm like OCD about it. So
Uh-huh.
my desk has to be like perfect. So, um, but if you're listening and you want to get involved, you're already doing declutter, why not get paid for it? I mean, gosh, it's a lot. It is a lot of work, whether you like it or not. So thank you, Tracy. It's been really good. If you're listening, reach out to her and I wish you only the best. So thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. Bye-bye.
Hey, this is Ryan with the Business Stories Podcast. And if you're a franchisor, franchise consultant, broker, or just a small business owner, you've got to check out clienttether.com. It's an amazing sales automation tool that is revolutionizing the industry. If you want to learn more, go to clienttether.com and inquire within.